together. It's great to see so many people online. We're delighted to welcome back Nicola Moore, the founder of Rebel Creative. Nicola's subject today is AI. With AI becoming an integral part of our working life, understanding how to make it work for you is a real advantage. So before we begin, just to let you know, we are recording this session. And without further ado, I'm pleased to hand over to Nicola. Thank you.
Morning, everyone, and thanks very much for making the time to dial into this session. I'm Nicola Moore. I run Rebel Creative, and I'm a writer and communications consultant. So why am I deciding to talk about AI today, which everybody seems to think might be coming from my job? Like yourselves, I'm running a business. I think that everybody is overwhelmed by the amount of discussion and debate around AI. It's everywhere, it's ubiquitous. And particularly if you're on platforms like LinkedIn, there's a lot of posts out there that are shouting, you know, you're doing it wrong, here's what you should be doing, AI is coming for your job, AI is going to make you a millionaire. There's a lot of really conflicting kind of information and it's quite overwhelming. So I thought that this was a good opportunity as a small business owner just to take a sort of calm, clear look at what AI could actually do and try to think about how we can make it work for us. So I want to start by saying that I am by no means an expert in AI, tech or digital. I am a writer. What I am an expert in is communications. I love storytelling. I've been storytelling, some of them true, some of them imaginary, since I was about 5. So I believe I know what makes a compelling story, and what I want to explore is how AI can help us with that. I started experimenting with it a few months ago to try and get an idea of how I could use it in my business, whether it could help me and save me time. And so I thought today that I would just share some of the things that I've noticed along that journey over the recent months. And really the sort of conclusion I've come to is that it is a tool like any other. You know, when Google first came out, it was revolutionary and people stopped going to libraries and started looking up things online. And maybe it was considered cheating at the time. And similarly with AI, we're all trying to figure out how we can use it best. And this offers up a few ideas that will hopefully be helpful to you. So purpose of today is looking at how we can use AI to save time on marketing. Absolutely no guff, that's my rule. I'm not going to use any jargon. I'm keeping it entry level, very practical, very simple, and about saving you time, but absolutely not about replacing humans. Some of you will use these tools already, probably more in an admin sense. So I'm looking at how we could use them to power up your marketing. So common problems that small businesses, including my own, often have with marketing is things like, I don't know what to post. It can feel overwhelming. Marketing takes too long and I don't always have time to factor it into my busy working life. I'm not a designer or a writer, or I just forget, you know, the week goes in quickly and I don't get around to posting. And while we're talking about forgetting things, you may notice I've got a lovely iStock photo there that I was too cheap to pay for. So please don't grass me up to iStock. So everybody's busy. We're all trying to make the best use of our time, and this is where AI can help. And I think the key message is that AI is best used for speed and confidence. It's not used for perfection, and we'll explore that a little bit as we come along. So the first tool I want to look at is Canva. Canva is really, really well known. You've probably all heard of it. It's a fantastic design software, incredibly user-friendly, really simple, really cheap. The free version is really, really effective. But even if you pay for it at $10.99 a month, it's really, really a small amount to pay, even for a small business, and it's worth paying for because the tools that it gives you are so powerful and replace a lot of other tools that maybe you might be spending more money on. So I wanted to start by talking about a few things that Canva can do in your marketing. First of all is posters and flyers. If you regularly create flyers to advertise your business or posters for events, Canva really takes the pain out of it, makes it very straightforward. So the way it works, you log into an online platform and you select from hundreds of templates, maybe thousands of templates. There are loads and loads on there. You can ask the AI to find one that's sort of for a corporate market or a tourism market. You can ask for something that's really contemporary, ask for something that's more fun, and pick the layout that's closest to what you need. And then they're all very customizable. So you can log into them and you can easily change the colors, change the fonts, put your own brand in there and just play about with it and have some fun with it. It's very intuitive to use. So this one that I've got up on the screen is one that I created for Focus North to advertise their summer program. And you see the circular images there. It's literally as simple as upload photos from your laptop, click and drag, and you just drop them into the spot. They immediately snap into the frame, and it's so straightforward and just saves a lot of time. Another really good benefit about creating things in Canva is that it's very easy to convert. So if you create a poster or a flyer at a certain format, you can download it high resolution for print, and it will come with crop marks and trim marks and bleed ready to go to your printers. You can also download it in a low-res file, which you can use for online. But what's really cool is if you pay for Canva Pro, you can change the format. So you can make it landscape format. You can convert it into a social media post. So really you're only having to do the job once and the AI tools will convert it so that you can use it in a variety of different outputs. So I mentioned social media posts there. So here's one that I created for Highland Council, which was to advertise their park and ride promotion that they had in the run up to Christmas. Again, browse designs by platform. You log in, you pick which platform you want to create something for, and it can create bespoke posts, carousels, whatever kind of format you want. And again, just simply drag and drop. What's really good about this is that it also integrates with social media scheduling tools. So if you use things like MailChimp, Buffer, Later, you can actually take your posts, create them in Canva, and then schedule them. So in theory, you could spend an hour on a Monday morning, create a few posts, schedule them directly in Canva, and sit back and have it do the work for you. Something I've not gotten around to doing yet, but I think that it could really be a good time saver and take a lot of the pain out of scheduling social media content. I use Canva a lot for presentations as well. Everybody I think is familiar with the pain of PowerPoint. The great thing about Canva is you can upload a brand kit. So you can save your own brand colors, you can save your brand fonts, you can lock that in and you can apply it across all of your designs. It's really easy to collaborate on presentations, so you can create them and then instead of sending a big PowerPoint file across to people in your team, you simply give them access. They can log in, make any edits, make any additions, and it just creates a really nice, straightforward work stream that everybody can understand. And my absolute favorite thing about it is infographics. I love infographics. I think particularly for corporate businesses that have quite complex operations, it's a way of taking some really detailed and quite dry sort of information and turning it from copy into a really visual kind of format that can get a lot of information across in a really engaging way. Previously, infographics were quite difficult to do if you weren't a designer. But again, in Canva, you can just go in, pick out a template that works for you and customize it, change the colors, insert your own information, and it's really straightforward. You can create these in a few minutes, drop them into presentations, annual reports, pop them up on your website. So there's lots and lots of different things you can do with that. Magic Studio, this is something that I only recently discovered. And if you're like me and you're absolutely awful at Photoshop or you don't want to pay for it, Magic Studio can do a lot of really impressive image editing without you having to pay a lot of money. It's a pro feature for Canva. So again, it is charged, but it's like a tenner a month. I've had a bit of fun with it here. Obviously, Brooklyn Beckham's been all over the press saying that he wants to live a simpler life and he doesn't want to be a rich Nepo baby anymore. So I used, it's called the Magic Grab tool, where you can go into any image and you can literally click on an object that you want to grab. In this case, I grabbed Brooklyn, and you can just click and drag him and put him wherever you want. So you'll see down there in the bottom right that I've popped him in with our PSO. I thought maybe he would enjoy the simpler life up in Caithness for a wee while. So I just clicked and dragged and dropped him into that image. Similarly, you can remove a background. You just press a button. It's called Magic Background. It takes the background away from your image. Again, so you could, for example, you might have a launch photo and you've got a really good photo of one of your team, but they've got a fire escape behind them. With Magic Grab, you can just completely remove that. There's also an eraser tool where you can sort of be more pinpointing and what you want to remove. And that PSO photo that I've got there was taken on quite a grey day. So again, it's got a really powerful AI imaging tool where you can literally say, please give this, I always say please, please give this a blue sky. And it will do it instantly. Sometimes the results are a bit funky depending on how sort of advanced the question you're asking it is. But I've seen people use it even to change somebody's clothes, for example, or put a bunch of flowers in somebody's hand. So it's capable of doing some quite impressive stuff considering how affordable and accessible it is. And then moving on from Canva for the design stuff, we've got ChatGPT, I think probably the most famous AI platform of all. I need to no introduction. I've got 3 suggestions here for how you can use ChatGPT in a way that would benefit you. I think that it's a really effective tool for generating ideas. So there's nothing worse than sitting down at your computer with a task to do and looking at a blank screen. So the kind of thing you can do with ChatGPT, say, for example, you want to run a summer promotion. So you're Mackay's Hotel and you want to attract customers who are into adventure tourism. Maybe you want to tell them, you know, you're going to come up to Caithness and Sutherland, do all these amazing outdoors activities that you can do here, and you want a warm, comfortable hotel to come to in the evening. You can ask ChatGPT to give you a summer promotion to target adventure tourism, and you can ask it to come up with ideas for discounts, offers, campaign lines, platforms. It'll come up with a whole marketing plan for you. And it won't be perfect. This is the thing. It's never going to come up with something that is exactly what you need. But what it does do is give you a framework that can give you some ideas. It can make you go, well, I definitely don't want to do that, but maybe actually this could work for me. And it just gives you something to work from. Community fundraising. I used it recently for a project I was supporting in Shetland where they needed to do some fundraising. They had a tiny team. They didn't have resources to spend lots of time raising money. So I asked it to come up with some community fundraising ideas that are high impact but low effort. And it gave me some really, really good stuff. So I had some ideas of my own. It gave me some that I wouldn't have thought of. And again, crucially, it gave me some ideas that I thought, yeah, that would work in a city, but wouldn't work in Shetland. But I could actually adapt it in a way that would work for Shetland. So it just helped me with that brainstorming process. It can create marketing plans for you. So say you're, I think JGC and Gauss had both signed up today. So say that you're an engineering business and you've got a new piece of kit that enables you to offer up an entirely new service to a particular client, a particular industry. You can ask ChatGPT, how can I best go about creating a marketing plan for this, and be really, really specific. You can say, here is my new product, here is how I want to use it. Tell me what my competitors are doing. Tell me which kind of platforms I should use to reach industry customers and create a marketing plan. Again, you take it, you customize it, and you make it work for you. You just use it as a starting point to get you going. Another way I use it quite often is as a first draft machine. ChatGPT is not a writer. It's not going to create something that's perfect, but it can take some of the sort of back end work away that makes things a little bit easier and makes it a bit smoother. So say you have, I mean, sticking with the industry example, you might have a fantastic client testimonial. You know, somebody's used your new service. They've written you an email and say, this is great, and here's what we used it for. And you have a lot of sort of detailed technical spec for your new product. You can copy and paste both the testimonial and the product information into ChatGPT and say, take all this technical information and write it in a really engaging blog post. I don't want a case study for my website. I don't want something that's really sort of technical or heavy. I want something that's going to say to anybody with an interest in my business, look how good we are at doing this. And again, it'll draft a blog post for you. Some people write thought leader. I hate the expression thought leader, but basically articles in the press that position you as an expert in your industry. Those can be quite daunting because they're often in the sort of regional press and they're proper kind of formal articles. You can ask it to draft it for you. Basically take your notes, write down a whole lot of bullet points of the kind of points that you want to make and get across, and ask it to draft the article. But then the key thing then is you take it and you add your own personality to it. So use local examples, local knowledge, local case studies, add your own sort of tone of voice, and just make sure that it feels like it reflects your brand and your personality. You can ask it to write social media posts for you, targeting specific visitors and highlighting your most popular services, and it'll give you 5 ideas ready drafted. Again, you can take those then to Canva and design them up, so it's taking a lot of that heavy lifting out for you. And you can ask it to create presentations, give me 10 slides on this topic and include background on my company. So a really good way just to get a first draft down on paper. And then at the opposite end of the scale, you can use it like a little editor, essentially. So you've written a press release, you know it's pretty good, but there's maybe a few sentences in there that you think could be improved and made more impactful. You realise that news desks are very busy. You need to get your point across as quickly as possible. You can feed it your press release and say, make this more concise and more impactful. And it'll give you some suggestions that you can take or leave, but it will give you some ideas. You might have written an article or had someone write an article and it's really good, but it's a bit heavy. Ask it to trim 200 words and add some section headers, and it'll do that for you really quickly. Or you might, again, I've mentioned this kind of example where you've got something that's very technical and you need to keep all that kind of information, but change the tone of voice and write it in a way that's a more engaging kind of blog post to pop on your website. This is a tool I haven't used Grammarly. I haven't personally used this one, but I believe that it's really effective at taking newsletters, email campaigns, social media posts, and it basically adds polish. So it acts as a virtual proofreader. It'll check over it. It'll improve clarity wherever it needs to, make sure that there's no typos and spelling mistakes, and it'll give you sort of suggestions for how you can improve on it. Otter is one of my favorites. A lot of people probably already use this for admin tasks. Basically what it is a piece of software that logs into well, you can use it in different ways, but one of its most powerful functions is it can log into your meetings. Always get permission from the person that you're meeting, but it will log in and take notes for you, and it'll take a full transcript. So it's incredibly useful if you're holding a board meeting, for example, and you need to get your minutes out, or you're a charity and you need to get your minutes put together. It'll take those minutes, but it will also record any actions that come up as you're during your meeting. It'll record any actions and who said that they would take those on, and it can send useful prompts. So it's very, very helpful, and I wanted to include it because it is really helpful for admin tasks. Previously, transcription software was really hit and miss, but I've found this to be really good. Even with people with sort of strong accents, it actually picks up. Even the Caithness accent, it picks up and does a pretty good job with it. Again, how you can use this for your marketing. For example, you might have a client who wants to talk about a service you've provided and done a good job of. Or you might have somebody who's worked for your company for 10 years and they want to talk about why they love living here and working for your business. You can schedule a call with them, ask them a few questions, get them talking, and you'll immediately have a transcript in order that you can feed into ChatGPT or do yourself and just edit and polish and get it into a format that you're happy with. This is a members insight session. I'm sort of conscious that it's not a training session, and I'm also conscious that I'm not an expert in these. So I've only really included ones that I'm relatively familiar with. There are masses, as you'll know, there are hundreds, thousands probably of AI tools out there. Some of the best of the others are tools like Buffer and Later for social media, which will allow you to schedule posts in advance. Email, I think we all know about MailChimp, and it's really useful for sending out newsletters. CapCut for videos. And another really powerful AI use is things like HubSpot, Marketing Hub, and Google Analytics. So save a bit of time on checking your marketing is hitting the spot by using these tools, and it saves you having to go in and pull off lots of complicated reports. So those are a few that might be worth looking up in your own time. So coming on to where AI sort of doesn't hit the mark and the things that I've found in my experience, It gets really random stuff wrong sometimes. So I've found things like if you tell it to write something to a particular word count, it will go, yes, here you go, this is 1,000 words. And you drop it into a Word document and it's 1,400. And it knows that it's done it because you go back and say, yes, nice try, that's not 1,000. And it says, yes, you're right, I'm sorry, here you go. And it gives you 1,200. So I don't know why, because it's such intelligent software, but word counts I've found can be quite sticky with it. So they're always worth checking. If you've ever tried editing images in ChatGPT, it can throw up some really random stuff. It doesn't always understand the instructions. And the other thing with it is logical context. And the best way I can think to explain this is my wee boy wanted to create a YouTube channel for his tricks that he was learning on his bike. And I thought, okay, I could probably help him with that. He's got a YouTube Kids account, and I thought I could probably help him set something up and keep an eye on it and make sure he's using it appropriately. So I asked ChatGPT, how do I set up a channel on Reese's YouTube account? And it said, okay, you do this. And it gave me a whole lot of steps that didn't work. And I told it didn't work, and it never likes to admit it's wrong. So it said, oh, thank you for pointing that out. That's what I expected to see. Here's how you should do it instead. And it took me about an hour before it finally said, ah, now you've got to the crux of the issue. You're not allowed to do that with a child's account. Now, anybody in this meeting would have said right at the start, there's no point bothering because you're not allowed. For some reason, ChatGPT decided to waste an hour of my time kind of telling me how it could be done, even though it couldn't be done. And eventually it said, yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. So watch out for it. It's not always completely accurate. It does get stuff wrong. Whenever I use it, it always gives you the source of the information. Always check the source. Always have a human being look over it and make sure that it's accurate. There's also been some quite embarrassing things in press stories where you'll see a newspaper article and the bottom of the article will say, now would you like me to turn this article into a blog post? And it's really clear that some poor journalist's been pushed for time and they've just hit copy and paste and used an entire article without checking it over. So always get a human being to check it for you. The content can feel generic. If you've used it a few times, you notice that it's got a particular pattern that it uses. It uses a lot of dashes. It's very, very concise, and it can sometimes sound quite mechanical. If it tries to sound more human, sometimes it overwrites things and it tries to be too floral and it just doesn't sound authentic. So I do think that there's quite a recognizable AI style. It doesn't break rules in the way humans do. You know, I'll sometimes use a one-word sentence or start something with a but, or, you know, there's different sort of metaphors and tricks that you can use that writers use regularly, and they don't conform to the rules, but they're there for stylistic reasons. It tends to strip that out, so the content can often feel generic, and that's why I've emphasised that it is a starting point. It can save you some of the grunt work, but it's not ever to be seen as an actual fully finished piece of writing. See it as a starting point for you to improve on. Similarly, it doesn't do quirky, so it tends to take out any human. I had an article, I did an interview with a woman who's an autism researcher who herself is autistic. And I had this fantastic interview with her, but it lasted an hour and I had a 30,000 word transcript. And I thought there's absolutely no way that I can go through all that. So I asked it to shorten the transcript for me so that I could get pertinent points from my article. And what I found it did was it kept the pertinent points that she made to the article, but it removed some of her personal anecdotes. So she spoke, for example, about getting her autism diagnosis and having this great sense of relief that finally she understood herself. And she also made a good joke about Beyonce and, you know, the point was different people are good at different things. And she's like, Beyonce can dance, but I bet she can't make a shepherd's pie like I can. So it's the kind of thing that ChatGPT is going to take out. But I know that readers really like that kind of human content. It's fun, it makes you smile, it catches your attention. So variety in tone of voice, using little idiosyncratic phrases, adding fun anecdotes, those are gold. Those are what makes stories sing. So you really want to make sure that you're not using AI in a way that strips out your own voice and it makes everything feel fake. So coming on to that, how do you make it work for you? Getting the prompt right is really important. It's not Google. You can give it quite detailed instructions. You can say, my business specializes in this, our brand is this, we want to talk about this service for this market, and I want it to be this many words for this platform. And it really can then tailor something that's pretty good for what you're looking for. And then if it doesn't, you say, well, okay, that's good, but make it more corporate or make it more fun or make it shorter. And it can do that. But just as importantly, it's about a prompt for yourself. You're not just prompting it, it's prompting you. As I've said, it gives you an opportunity to get something down on paper. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a starting point and it might give you some new ideas that you might not have come up with on your own. The way to make it work best for you is to personalize it. So once you have a draft, apply your own brand guidelines. Make sure that you have those in your mind. What kind of personality does your business have? How do you want to communicate with people? Is it quite informal? Is it very polished? Make sure that you're making it work in a way that reflects your business. Add local examples. You know, it could write an article for the Chamber of Commerce and talk about the business sector. And it might sound halfway convincing, but it's going to sound a lot better if you're referencing real businesses in the area and you're inserting comments from people who know what they're talking about and it's their tone of voice. And so prioritize your creative output. It's easy to think that chat is coming for our jobs, but the reality is it's coming for some of the simple jobs that we could automate. What it does then is the time and money that you're not spending on doing simpler tasks, you can put towards more high value creative content. So where you need a designer, where you need a writer, where you need a web developer, and they're going to create something far, far more creative and added value for your business, you're not wasting money on creating little bits and pieces that you could now do through AI. So me talking about this today is not the turkey voting for Christmas, I hope. It's sort of explaining that there are some really, really valuable and powerful applications if you figure out how to make AI work for you. But the most important thing is to let your human show. Don't turn it in, don't allow it to turn your marketing into something that's bland and corporate. Just make it work as a starting point for you and then add your own personality and tone of voice to it. So I hope that's been a useful kind of gallop through a few common tools and offered you some ideas or some points for consideration, and happy to take any questions or have any further discussion.
Thank you, Nicola, for a thought-provoking and informative presentation. It's certainly made me think, and I'm sure it has for everybody else as well. Has anybody got any questions for Nicola when we're on? Be scared. Don't be scared.
I've got a question that maybe it's not for you, Nicola, but when it comes to editing things like images, for example, when you've got like permissions for use, I'm guessing if you then are using AI to edit it or change it, would you have to get permission again then after you've edited it, or do you just declare that it's
Yeah, I think you would want to. I think if it was somebody that has given you permission to use the image, you would definitely want to make sure that you had their permission.
Get confirmation from you.
Oh, I think somebody's got their mic on. Not sure who it is.
Sorry?
Everybody go on mute, please. Sorry, Nicola.
That's all right, we've all been there. I would definitely get permission. I'm not sure if you have a stock image. I think probably if you paid for it from a photo library, you would be okay to edit it. But I certainly, if it was a local photographer or you were doing something, I would definitely want to get permission just to cover yourself. But yeah, I must admit that's not my area of expertise, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm happy to go off and find that out and come back to you on it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think we've got another question, Ellie.
Hello, I don't know if you'll know this one, but I would be interested in using a British AI platform rather than an American one. I don't know if such a thing exists or if America's just kind of leading the field and we have to get on with it.
That's really interesting, Ailey. I must admit, I don't know. I think it's a lot of these new tech tools originate in America, don't they? And then they kind of dominate the market, and it takes a little while for the sort of British platforms to catch up. So I'm not entirely sure at all, but yeah, definitely worth looking into. And I agree. And I also think that there's a trust element, isn't there, with AI, where you're giving it sometimes your data or your information. So you want to know that it's safe. So whether you're using an American platform or a British platform, you want to make sure that it's a company that you trust and you understand their privacy guidelines and their terms and conditions, so you're not getting into anything that you're not comfortable with. But yeah, that's a really good point. It's definitely nice to support closer to home if you can.
Any other questions there? Catherine?
Oh, still on mute
There you go.
There you
I'm
go.
trying to figure out how to mute my computer. Sorry. Just going back to the whole image question. I'm an amateur photographer, but I have sold a few of my images for various things. And if I was ever to do an agreement with somebody, I would always include not to edit them. So you really would have to check your permissions. If I would sell my photos and somebody edited them on AI, I'd be very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
So please, everybody check if you are doing that you have the permission to do that.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really useful to hear. Thanks, Catherine.
Okay.
Any other questions? No, I think we're
I might
okay.
get a letter from Brooklyn's legal representative. He's definitely not part of the PSO team, just to be clear. I was having fun.
I think there's a lot of there's a lot more you can do with some of these software things like Canva, for example. So many more things in it than I've probably used it for as well. And like linking up with things like MailChimp and using it to send directly to sort of maximize like where your time goes rather than spending it on this something that a computer can do very quickly and safely and easily for you. I think that sort of thing is probably well worth looking into a bit more to sort of save a bit of admin time.
Yeah.
Catherine?
Yeah, just about kind of using Canva and things. I mean, I use Photoshop, so I find Canva quite intuitive in putting adding things and taking away and layers, etc. But I've got a few people that I'm working with who aren't Canva au fait. Are there any training courses that you know of that would suit somebody who is a beginner on Canva? Because it's so powerful and it's such an amazing program, and we could use it a lot more.
Yeah, I attended one recently. I'll find the details and send it over.
That'd be
I
really
think
useful.
it was, yeah, I don't think it was like an online one you can just sign up for. It was through the International Magazine Centre, and they'd organised it for their members. But it was really, really good. So I'll find out if she's holding it again and send on the details. And exactly that, like she kind of talked us through common sort of uses for it. And I didn't know anything about, for example, the background remover or the magic grab tools, which have been really, really useful for me. So yeah, I'll circulate the information about that. I mean, it's got its drawbacks too. I find like you can't flow copy into it very easily. You know, if you were using InDesign, you were creating a brochure. Yeah, it'll flow it across pages. Whereas with Canva, you've got to do little individual text boxes and copy and paste. It's quite laborious for some things, but yeah, other things, it's so intuitive.
Yeah, I mean, posters and Facebook posts, and I find it really, really useful.
Yeah.
But I know there's people, as I said, that don't maybe have kind of used other kind of more in-depth programs that are struggling a bit, and the basic course would be really great if anybody has any ideas on that.
Catherine, Business Gateway also run a course, a beginner's course on Canva as well.
Yeah. I feel it's great, a great start, but I'm looking for a little bit more than that for somebody that I'm working with. So
okay, we've got a few comments have just come in. Lindsay, you should make sure that settings in ChatGPT are set to English language too,
Or rather than the American.
Yeah.
Eleanor, Adobe have a good social media scheduling tool as well. I think the Business Gateway do Canva workshop online, which we've just said, Okay,
Yeah, the English language thing is a good point because it's there's nothing worse if it auto-corrects everything to American. So yeah, definitely worth adding that in the settings.
any other questions? No, well, thank you very much again, Nicola.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, just before we finish, the Members Insight is a virtual platform where Chamber members share expertise and ideas. If there are any topics you'd like us to cover on them, please let me know. Anybody got any ideas? And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.